Adjust our adjust.
Yeah, I'm fixing hair. Hair's an issue. Headphones,
Right,
hair.
perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. How you doing, Dave?
Wonderful. It's a rainy day here in Austin, and you can maybe hear the rain pitter patter. So everyone, this is a little ASMR episode of the Shop Talk Show. We're just gonna enjoy the rain, maybe some lo-fi beats.
Nice, man. I thought we'd do something else calming and relaxing on such a day as today.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is to look at like some generative art. Maybe not look at so much of it. That would be a fun episode. It's just to look at how all the different generative artists out there and all the cool stuff that they're doing.
I love it. Yeah, I like what people are doing. So
I think that to me, anytime I see generative art, what I want to also see is a way to control it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's built in a lot. Like there's, we looked at custom properties as a way to control stuff in Houdini. That was pretty cool. But I'm talking about more like control it without needing to code, like a graphic way to control it. And this is a classic way to do this. Do you know on a repo, you can always click contributors to see how old a repo is? Because it'll tell you the range of...
I've been going like into the code and hitting back. Wow.
Oh, yeah. But if it's too big of a repo, it's like you'd be there all day.
Oh, I am there all day. Yeah. Often. Yeah.
So that's a cool trick. Yeah. So 10 years old is this one called Dat GUI. At least that's what I call it, or Dat.gui. It's kind of a Mr. Doob thing. And you've probably seen it before. I've been encouraging it forever on CodePen because it's a nice little knobby machine. Here's an example from... from Matai, who, look at this thing. Obviously, there's some generative stuff going on here. Loops and colors and speed and all that stuff. And this, up in the upper right-hand corner here, hopefully you can see that good.
I see it.
Juice it a little bit.
Oh, good.
Is a way to be like, ooh, I want more spacing. So you just control it. So rather than code this with hard-coded variables in the code, they're coded, built to change.
Yeah, like it's like a public API or set of variables that you can just kind of manipulate. Oh, beautiful.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
And it turns out, the more you do this, the more weird it can get, and you want it faster or slower, or, where do you want the hue to start or whatever. This is on you, how clever do you want to get here with when you build these things.
That's awesome.
And this is old, but I mean, not that that's a judgment call or anything, but I'm curious about other ways to do this. I also don't know, like, to me, this seems like this is not for production use necessarily. I don't know what to say about that, but I just, because it's 10 years old, I'm always like, oh, I wonder, this is so mouse focused. Is it very accessible? I don't know. Does it matter? Of course it matters, but like matters less than something you might put on a government website or something.
Right.
Okay, so there's that, but what I wanted to point out is that I've used this before and I like it, but there's another project in this same vein that isn't 10 years old, even though it's not to say Dat GUI is unusably old or anything like that. I think it works just fine. I mean, we just saw it work just fine. But this one's called Knobs, and to me it like looks a little prettier. The API is a little prettier. It's built for... it's built with CSS in mind. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not? At least have a play with it. I blogged this too last year with an example because I do think it's neat for CodePen. Here's a really simple example of, stroke width in that way. So here's let's look at the API of the thing, right? So for one thing, in the CSS, a way to take advantage of these things, and knobs in particular, is to think in terms of CSS properties from the beginning. Now that's going to make your code easier to play with right off the gap. So here, all I have is gap. It's using -- gap. I've set gap here. I could have also gone like this or something,
The fallback syntax, right?
But sometimes I think having a menu at the top is nice, especially if there's multiple of them. Anyway, now how do I control that? Well, that's where this knobs thing really shines, and that's this UI up here. I didn't build this. That little juicy little bugger comes right from knobs. I'm pulling it right from SkyPack here, so I have it available. That's the beauty of...
This is a little bit better. If you've used Dat GUI, like this is a little bit better API because there's a lot of query selectory sort of stuff. I feel
Yeah,
like.
I don't mind it when APIs get modernized. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of settings in knobs, arguably too many.
Yes.
But if you trim down to just what you need, it's pretty chill actually. So this just means, hey, is it open by default or not, and stuff like that. But the real juice of this is in knobs, and I've only set up one, so it's an array syntax, and I've set up one object in here. I've also said this is a clue, to the API.
Okay.
Where do you want your CSS variables to go? You could put it at the root or whatever. Here I've scoped it to this because that's where I intend to use them. I don't mind scoping variables. It's kind of cool. And then what do you want to call it? Well, let's call it gap. And in this case, it'll have a value, but that's optional. I think. And then I've called it something. So when I open this, it's building this UI for me based on this. So it's, what would you call that? Declarative or something?
Yeah, it's like I guess let's say declarative. Yeah, it's like prop based. You're setting some props and it's rendering the props. Right?
Yeah, but I didn't have to handcraft a range input or anything. It's doing that for me. There's a bunch of different types of knobs, In this case, it's a range slider. I think range is really useful, min and max. And then notice I'm not like saying, on callback, adjust variable or anything. That's just what it does. So it's going to adjust a variable named gap between these values. And just by virtue of me using it in my CSS, you can see the gap change.
And we call them CSS custom properties, but they are also JavaScript properties. Like JavaScript is the interface for them,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, in this case, and you can see in here, see the gap property right there. This is a little not the most beautiful thing in the world, but you can see it change and adjust, and that's that really. I thought we could take the opportunity to do one. Let's do one from scratch, maybe.
Ooh, okay.
So let's grab this, and remember we were playing with Josh Cullingworth's
we were playing with this, yeah.
So I'll just paste that in here. And it's really similar, so I guess there's not too much to change. I'm even scoping it to grid. But let's say that cell color 1 is really var cell color 1 with that fallback. That should be pretty straightforward, right?
Okay.
And then this particular knob will be, I guess, cell color 1, and it does not need a type. And we'll call it cell color 1. And I don't even know if this is correct, but of course, right? And then it just needs a default, which I guess we could just duke this over. Maybe it doesn't even need a default, but we'll just give it the same one. Why not? Paste. And then a no minimum and maximum. Let's see if the knob turned out. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. So there's yellow, and then I guess our yellows will turn color. Oh, look at that.
Oh my goodness.
Purple,
wow,
pink.
That was so easy.
Right.
That was so easy. I'm mad. I'm mad. This is one of those things where I'm mad at all the other things I've tried where it was hard and time consuming. This is so just
that's why I'm bringing it up,
calming.
because I do think it's calming like a nice Austin rainstorm. Two
FB,
I'll
FB,
prop in
FB, Facebook.
Oh no! Turns out Facebook's actually kind of a nice color.
Yeah, let's see it in the inspector there. Oh yeah. Oh, it's
Ooh,
just
why didn't
white.
it work? Oh, it's
Oh,
just
that checks out. Wow.
little political commentary.
Oh, wow, Dave. Whoa.
How did I smurf it up? Cell color 2 color. It's not changing anything. Let's just debug ourselves for 1 second, and then we'll shut this party down. Cell color 2, FB. So as I change it, is it actually changing? Ooh, it's not.
It's popping a hue and all this stuff in there. Okay.
That's like itself, I think. Like it manages itself, and we don't have to worry about that. There's all these other little features, like a color swatch machine. Ooh, that doesn't seem to work at the moment. Boop boop. It was earlier. You could make a swatch palette. See, I've screwed it up somehow.
You
I wonder
smurfed
if
it.
my cell color 1, cell color 2. It's another. It made the other knob. Maybe if I deactivate it. I wonder what deactivating it even does. Anyway, it's not. It doesn't seem like 1,000% important. We covered the ground here, but it does. Is it my bug or is it your bug?
Yeah. Can you go to the CSS? I'm just curious. I'm just.
Did I wank that up?
No.
That seems right.
That seems right. Okay. Well, yeah, something's going on. Maybe 2 colors is asking a lot, but it doesn't seem like it. But
no, I'm sure somebody else could. Whoa, I'm sure somebody else could figure this out. If you see
Let
what we
us
did
know.
wrong, please do it. But that seems like the crux of it. That syntax is right, but as I change this, it doesn't. It's not changing in the DOM. I wonder if the first one still works. Yeah, the first one still works. Well, whatever. There's bugs. Use that GUI.
no, this is. I don't know. I would. I'm sure it's just something we're not figuring out on video on stream. So there we go. It's
And
probably
like
just
all this stuff, any number that in your CSS, you could be like, you know what? I'm just gonna slap a variable on it, throw a knob in there, and rock and roll. No.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this is a great way to offer some control to designers and stuff like that. Like, hey, I made your little animation thing, like where it slides up 12 pixels. I put it as 12 pixels, but here's a little knob. Let me know how it feels. Find the one that feels good, or the cubic Beziers or whatever. Like, let me know what feels good, and I'll update the hard code. You know.
Yeah, or which is kind of like you could just use DevTools too, but this I think is way more friendly.
User friendly. People don't need to like reinvent the wheel, you know. Yeah, like not everyone needs to be a DevTools expert. You can just kind of expose this. Awesome for prototyping, like, you know, if you're doing like scroll animations, like, oh, when's like I don't know, when does this become too fast or too slow to like pop in, you know? And we'll try it on 10 different devices, and we'll just use this little knob and adjust and, you know, kind of compare notes. I think it's really awesome.
Yeah, and particularly for this, you know, I started off talking about generative art, so that's my favorite use case, you know. Why not make it truly play-withable?
I've done this for client side stuff too. Like, you know, we had a situation where it was like, you know, you just want to show like in a prototype or something like logged in, logged out, you know, like just using this as like
a state changer.
A state changer, because all you're doing is affecting a piece of state. And so like you can kind of like, you know, whatever. Swap something, or
I wish I could
flip
show
a
you right
div
now,
or
but
whatever.
it's a little too private. But there's in our little CodePen prototypes of future stuff we're building at CodePen, we have a in the user menu of the new editor, it's like not just this, but there's a whole extra section that has a bunch of toggles like, are you pro or not pro? Do you own the thing you're looking at or not own it? Are you know, and there's all this stuff so that as you're designing the interface, you can just go in here and mess around with the toggles and make sure that you've handled all the like permutations of state. Yeah, that might be able to be useful here. Although CSS is not the world's coolest state changer. You know, like use classes probably. And I wonder if Knobs has a way to change classes too. I would say it's not just custom properties. Like that's what we showed in this video, but I think this knob stuff is like, it really does have callbacks that you could then theoretically do anything with, you know? Well, I just showed you the very, there's an on-change event. And then obviously the on-change event could change classes or deal with state or whatever, you know?
Flip-flop divs and stuff. Yeah, like I've done it like you, like just do a body class or something or data attributes and you pop the like state into those and then
is logged in.
Yeah, stuff like that. And
sweet.
Show. That's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, clearly there's a lot going on here. All right, man. Have a good rainy afternoon, you know.
You enjoy your rainy afternoon, sir. Toodaloo.